this QR code pretty much signs students up for information sessions. It signs them up to receive emails from UT about events that might be happening in their area. So, of course, UT Austin, University of Texas at Austin, housed in Austin, Texas. We have 13 different colleges and 170 different fields of study. So in black, you'll see the undergraduate majors, well, undergraduate schools that students can apply to. And then in burnt orange, you'll see like that we have the medical school, the graduate school for UT, law school, and more. We have 51,000 students. So that's going to be 40,000 are going to be undergraduates, and they all come from 165 plus different counties in Texas, all over the United States, and really honestly all over the world. And it's a really big campus, so we want to make sure that we do our best at making sure that students can take advantage of this really big campus and all the resources that are available, also while feeling like they're involved in a small, tight-knit community. So we make sure that we have an 18-to-1 student to faculty ratio, just to make sure that students can get that one-on-one time if necessary, or don't feel like they have to go too far in order to talk with a faculty member about issues that they're having. 60% of our classes will include 30 or fewer students. And we have a 95% freshman retention rate, around a 70-year, 4-year graduation rate, around an 83% 6-year graduation rate. And we want to give all of these numbers accredited to our freshman interest groups, which is FIGS right here, and 360 Connections. What these organizations are is pretty much when students come in as freshmen, they get put into a group of 20 other freshmen, and they're given an advisor and a mentor. These groups are put together based on the majors that they're interested in. So the mentor can help them like get more accustomed to the UT Austin community, help them grow and feel comfortable from moving from high school to college, but also from like different cities or even states to UT in Austin, and help them feel a lot more comfortable with the environment and the community. But then they're also given an advisor that helps them feel a lot more comfortable with whatever major that they're interested in. So these numbers are all accredited to these great programs that basically we're trying to help bridge this really, really big community into smaller learning environments. And here are the rankings that we have. So we have #1 public university in Texas, #14 ranked university in the nation, and then #36 ranked university in the world. Skip fast. Here are the honors programs that we do have available. I just recommend that every student take the time out to learn about the honors programs because they all offer different things. And what I mean by that is, let's say a student is interested in liberal arts, right? The honors programs that are available to that student will be Plan 2 honors programs and liberal art honors programs. But these are two different programs. So Plan 2 honors pretty much will take over your curriculum and kind of be treated like a major. So you'll be like a Plan 2 honors student, but also in the same sense, you're a Plan 2 major. So it changes the entire curriculum that a student has, what classes they need to take, and their hours in order to graduate on time. And then liberal arts honors program is kind of on the opposite side, where pretty much you'll still have the same major that you're interested in, but you get access to a lot more exclusive classes, smaller classes, to housing, honors housing, scholarships, and more. So like both of the programs, most honors programs that we have all have their own different things that they bring to the table. So it's just best that every student, if you're interested in any honors programs, just go ahead and do research on it so you can know what you're signing up for. And then research opportunities. UT Austin is a Tier 1 research institution. And so literally what that means is that pretty much no matter what major you're doing, you can find research in some way. And some are going to be formal and informal. And so what I mean by that is formal in the sense that like you could be taking a class and your professor assigns research for the students to do in order to get a grade. Or you could be a part of the freshman research initiative, which pretty much shows the picture on the right, which is a stereotypical student and a lab coat actually in the lab doing research throughout their freshman year. But there's also informal research opportunities that you can do that are involved with some of the things that I'll talk about later on today, like student organizations. While in a student org, they also decide to do research a lot just because this is their opportunity to network and learn from each other. So they dive into different projects together just to build that solidarity and to knock out research that they possibly want to do in the future now. And so that's a way that it could be informally done on a research scale. And living on campus. I know a big thing about picking what college you want to go to, of course, is the dorm life. So we have 14 different residence halls. 2 will be all female, 1 will be all male, while the rest will be co-ed. There is honors housing, which just means if you're in an honors program, there's exclusive housing for honors students. And with that, we also have living learning communities. As a UT Austin student, you do not have to stay on campus at all. So like, you know, I know some universities, you might have to stay on campus for your first year, but for UT Austin, you do not have to stay on campus at all. But we do highly recommend it just because, of course, it allows you to focus more on school because you don't have to worry about, like, how are you going to get to class on time? Do you need a car to get to where you're headed? And it allows you to be a lot more sociable. You get more accustomed to the campus because it's very, very big. It's easier to get access to your professors and your TAs because you don't have to worry about driving or possibly taking the bus. And you're a lot more able to be socially available to take advantage of like the events that's happening on campus, the student organizations happening on campus, things like that. And student services. So pretty much the University of Texas at Austin is promoting that we're trying to be diverse, equitable, and inclusive to all students that are on our campus. And we have a very, very diverse campus, which means that we need to make sure that we have different type of resources that students can take advantage of while they're on our university so that if they need anything, they can take advantage. While I was at UT, personally took advantage of multiple of these different centers that are offered. So for example, the Multicultural Engagement Center basically houses 6 different student organizations. And they all come together to form the MEC in a sense, because UT likes to use acronyms. And the MEC pretty much likes to take stands when it comes to protests. They like to host events on campus to make sure that different cultures and the smaller I guess you could say underrepresented populations are able to be heard and be seen, and their cultures are being able to be understood while they're on campus. The Sanger Learning Center is more or less like a tutoring center. So you can go in there, sign up for a one-on-one tutoring appointment. Most of the tutors that you're going to be involved in will be like STEM classes. So of course, like math and science, while writing, you'll be going to the writing center that's in one of our libraries. But Sanger, you can just make an appointment, go to tutoring. You can take advantage of as many opportunities and appointments as you would like. The Texas Career Engagement Center is pretty much a center that allows the students that have career goals, but they want to know, like, how could I possibly get there? And what resources will I need? So the Texas Career Engagement, you pretty much just go in, sign up, and you'll be able to get an appointment with a career advisor. And that advisor will pretty much help these students figure out what do they want to get to next, where do they need to go, what resources on campus are available to them so that they can take advantage of it, and pretty much just help them feel like their goal is a lot more realistic than what they might have thought. And then, of course, Counseling and Mental Health Center. At the end of the day, college is hard, life is hard, and we want to just make sure that our students have the resources available to them to be able to talk to somebody about their issues and things that happen that go on in their life. At the end of the day, we can't stop life from happening, but we can make sure that we have the resources available for our students so that they can feel comfortable while they are on campus. Then you have student organizations. So there are 1,300 different student organizations on campus, and they all vary. So like I said earlier, when I was talking about research, there are some student organizations that are purely academic. And so they only literally dive into, let's say it could be major specific. So if you're interested in like business, there's organizations that literally just talk about business. They network together, do research opportunities. But mostly just build a community together to know that like, hey, I'm here for you, you're here for me, and we can get through UT Austin in 4 years together. So just building a community in a sense. Versus there are some organizations that literally are just for fun. So to kind of give students an idea, just because 1,300 is a lot, I know that I'm only like 5 years older than the students that I'm trying to recruit because I just graduated from UT in 2019, right? With that being said, I know that we all grew up watching Harry Potter. And so there's a Quidditch team at UT. Now they're not flying around on brooms or anything like that, but I hear UT Austin's Quidditch team is actually one of the best because out of the past 5 years, they've won 4 world championships. And so this Quidditch team literally travels to like, I believe OU has a Quidditch team and Texas Tech, and a couple of other universities, and they compete. And then, you know, when you come on campus, you'll see like a huge statue of, I guess, like Harry on top flying on the broom. But that overall, like the fact that that unique type of student organization is on UT's campus should kind of give you a wide range of what organizations are possible. And even then, if you don't find an organization that you actually like, you can make your own student organization with 10 people and $20. And you have education abroad, which is basically just our active study abroad program. We have the 4th best study abroad program in the nation, and we send over the most students abroad out of all universities. So we have 400 different programs that go across to 78 different countries, and they all pretty much vary. So you have some programs that last a week, you have some that are an entire semester, you have some that are an entire summer, and you have some that are only for a month. And to give you a wide range of what study abroad is, it pretty much just means that you're getting an education outside of the university that you call home. So UT Austin will be your home, but you might be studying domestically because we have programs in New York, in LA, and in Washington, D.C. Or, of course, you can go internationally. So while I was at UT, I went to Cape Town, South Africa, where I was there for a month. But I had an internship. I studied at the University of Cape Town, and I was able to just pretty much use that time to study the beautiful country of Africa and pretty much just enjoy it. Continent of Africa, but the country of South Africa. There we go. And just pretty much just let myself enjoy my time there. So there are specific study abroad programs that might be for like the major that you're interested in, but there are also some that are specifically for every student to be able to take advantage. So just look at the different study abroad opportunities that we have because there might literally be one for you. Then how to apply. So you have, you can apply through Apply Texas or Coalition. Most students use Coalition if they're trying to apply to like out of state schools, while using Apply Texas is mostly for students that want to apply to schools that are in Texas. Holistic review. So holistic review pretty much just means that every piece of information that you give to us for your application, we will look at equally. So that literally, the way that I kind of tell my students to think about this is think about it like a puzzle piece, right? So if you close your eyes and you envision like a puzzle that you probably did when you were a kid, right? Every single puzzle piece is important because they're all necessary for the end goal, which is to see the entire picture, which is the entire puzzle. So literally, no matter how small, no matter how weirdly shaped, no matter how different it might be, every single puzzle piece is important. And so when I tell students, when you're doing your application, look at it as this puzzle piece so you can know and understand that like, okay, what do I need to add more or what do I need to add less of? Every single student's application is going to look different. And holistic review is how it pretty much brings it all together. So to give an example, you might not be the best when it comes to being involved in student organizations, right? Well, of course, that can be made up in when it comes to grades. Or you might feel like that you did not add enough information to your application because you might feel like it's dull, but that's why you can add a resume or letters of recommendation. So holistic review pretty much is helping students completely understand that like everything that you put into your application will be considered. So just to give you an idea of what that will look like. So you have your application, of course, that you'll turn in. It's a $75 application fee, or you can apply for a fee waiver. Then you have like an essay that you have to turn in, 3 short answer questions. You turn in your high school transcript, your college transcript, and any major specific requirements that you might need to take care of. So at the end of the day, all you need to turn in are these required materials. This is like, I would say like kind of like the corners of the puzzle, you know, like this is the basics that you need to have in order to finish. But then you have other things that you can also turn in, which is like your optional materials. So you have like expanded resume, letters of recommendation, and then you can send in a test score if you do have one. So I'm gonna go pretty much in line. So expanded resume, I highly recommend an expanded resume just because on Applied Texas and Coalition, there is a character limit, right? And so you might not be able to put everything that you want to say on your Applied Texas or Coalition application. An expanded resume allows for a student to pretty much put in whatever they feel like they can fully brag on themselves and say, hey, when I was in this organization, they didn't do as much, but when I became president, I brought in a lot more things to make this organization more successful. Or you can talk about a job that you were involved in, or you can talk about being volunteering at your church and more. You can go in full detail because this is your resume. This is your document. So that's why I highly recommend it, just to go ahead and take advantage of having more space to be able to brag on yourself and how great you are as a student. Letters of recommendation. I also advise students to do this, and I advise them only to do 2, because I promise you there are students that will send 5, but they all sound repetitive. At the end of the day, when you think about it, a lot of people are going to ask your counselors for letters of recommendation. So I'm pretty sure Ms. Cervantes probably got a lot of questions. A lot of students asking her to write letters of recommendation for them. And it's going to sound repetitive because at the end of the day, everybody's going to be a great student. Everybody's going to be passionate. Everybody's going to be hardworking. Everybody's going to be this great, smart student in class, etc. And it sounds repetitive. So yes, it's great to have one letter of recommendation that's academic, but I would say the second letter of recommendation, let it be from somebody that's seen you be passionate about something that you do. And so that could be sports. That could be an academic advisor for or a teacher that's like an advisor for a student organization. That could be a pastor if you are involved in church and more. But like that leads for a different letter of recommendation that can add more to your story instead of you constantly being repetitive with multiple counselors, multiple teachers, in a sense, writing the exact same letter about who you are as a student. And then test scores. I get a lot of questions about students feeling like if they do not submit a test score, that they will be like significantly hindered, when that's not true. For us, at least, test scores are optional, which means that there's something that can only help you, but it can't hurt you. Just because a student submits a test score does not mean that they will be above the rest. Everybody, test score or not, will be equally reviewed to get into UT Austin. A test score pretty much could just help you add the idea that like, oh, this person is interested in the math major and they got a really good math score on the SAT. Cool. But like, it's not going to be something that puts somebody way above you or anything like that. It's purely just an optional material. And if you are not able to take the test and do not add a test to your application, it will not make you fall from the pack. And then essay. So the essay, I would advise students that have not started on the application yet to go ahead and take a picture of this. And our prompt is just tell us your story. What unique opportunities or challenges have you experienced throughout your high school career that have shaped who you are today? It's recommended 500 to 700 words. You definitely can go over because the wording count is just a recommendation. And we definitely recommend that you go ahead and send in this essay with your Applied Texas application or coalition application. Then you have 3 short answer questions. So also, again, take a picture. You have the first short answer question that talks about your major. So like, what are you interested in? The second question talks about leadership, because everybody's a leader in their own way, which could be like you having significant family responsibilities, you being involved in church, being involved in your school, being a leader in student organizations, etc. Just let us know how you're a leader. Then number 3 talks about how do you believe your experiences, perspectives, or talents can positively impact the UT Austin community. So don't think too hard about this one. Just pretty much, you know what your talents are, you know what your experiences are, and your perspectives. Just let us know how you feel like you can positively impact the UT Austin community. Don't think it has to be huge. It literally could be very, very small. And then the last optional short answer question, pretty much just share a background of any special events or circumstances that happened to you that hindered your high school performance. Now, for some students, that will be COVID-19, but for others, it might be that you decided not to take an AP or dual credit class because there was this one class that had computer science or business that you were interested in, and it's not weighted, so it negatively affected your GPA. But since you were interested in majoring in business, you decided to go ahead and take this class anyways. That's something that you can put on here. Or if there's some students that end up getting sick or having to leave school to take care of like family responsibilities, just completely let us know what happened and how did that hurt your academic performance. And I say that just because, yes, we still have this whole puzzle aspect of it, right? But the most important portion of this puzzle that I'm trying to give you to see in the back of your head is that at the end of the day, the person who reads your application most likely will never meet you in person. So with that, you have to make sure that you put everything in your application, because if you don't say anything, we don't know. So if you never let me know that you had to take on significantly family responsibilities towards your sophomore year because something happened, I will never know. And the person who reads your application will never know. We're just going to see that your grades dropped in your sophomore year. So just make sure to try to be as transparent as possible, just that we can know what you were going through, so that everything makes sense when we read your application, so that we can see how great you are for UT Austin. And then this is pretty much going over the purpose of an essay and short answer questions. The purpose is, of course, for us to be able to learn who you are, like I just said. Tell us about the background and experiences that you've had, and then help us determine how great you are for our university. So I know that when we were in I want to say 5th grade, 6th grade, we all did mind maps. So a mind map is always a great idea to write a great essay. Just ask yourself, what do you want us to know? At the end of the day, this is technically your interview in a sense, at least for UT Austin, because we don't interview. So this application and your essays and short answer questions are your interview process. So what do you want us to know about you? How will this essay add to your application, and what experiences are most important to you? Then be specific. Why is this important? And why isn't it really significant for you to talk about this experience on your application? And so these are things that we would like for you to think about when you write your essay. It's pretty much, is this your story? If you were to be walking around Eastern Hills and you were to drop this essay and somebody were to pick it up, could they know that this was you? And could this just be a generic story that anybody could tell? At the end of the day, we want to know that this story is about you and who you are as a student. When it comes to essays, I know that students sometimes feel like they just want to write whatever they think we want to hear, when in reality, we just want to learn more about you and who you are as a student. So it's great to talk about, a relative that made a great impact on your life. It's great to talk about an event, and it's great to even talking about I want to say like a quote or something like that that really resonates with you. That's all great to talk about, but just make sure that at the end of the day, after you talk about those things, you're able to bring that entire conversation back to yourself and how does this contribute to who you are as a person? Because at the end of the day, this application is about you. It's not about the quote. It's not about your relative, and it's not about the event. It's about us knowing who you are and how great you can be for UT Austin. And make sure to proofread, please. I literally had a student yesterday call me because she made a grammar error on her application and she was just stressing out so much because she was not able to change it. So please make sure that you're proofreading your essays and your short answer questions. And make sure that these essays make sense to you. So even if that means you need to go, give this essay to your teachers so they can proofread it and help you make sure that your essay makes sense, please do so. And here are some do's and don'ts. So make sure that you answer the question, that you're being honest, and that you reflect on your experiences and why they are significant to you and why are they important for you to bring up in this application. And please do not write about what you think we want to hear. Forget to talk about yourself, and then try to use the essay that you might have written in English or AP or something and try to sneak that into the application because most likely it's not going to fit. And then my final thoughts is the writing process is going to be different for everybody just because everybody's application is going to be way, way different. It's okay to change your topic after you finish your draft. That's why it's good to start now in September before our deadline. And there's no topic or thing that we're specifically looking for. The only thing I could say that we are looking for is just to learn more about you. And then major specific requirements. Whatever major that you're interested in, please, 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 if you can, go to Google, type in that major, and then at the end, type in UT Austin. This will allow for you to be able to see what, the major, get more information on it. And then also you'll be able to know what you need to fully do in order to complete this application for this specific major. For some majors, it's literally just the basic stuff that I just went over. But for others, you might have to add another short answer question. You might have to submit a proposal or no, not a proposal. What's the word I'm looking for? A portfolio. There we go. For others, you might have to do an audition. So make sure that you go to Google, type in, I'm interested in government UT Austin. It's going to show you the first link will probably show up, government UT Austin, learn more information here. Click it, learn more about the program that you're about to apply to, and then make sure that you're doing all of the requirements you need in order to finish the application. And then here is a timeline. So please snap a picture of this if you need to, just so that you can keep this in your back pocket. August 1st already came and gone. That's when the application opened, and that's when the housing application opened. So at the bottom, I know you can see it says housing application ASAP. Go ahead and please do that as soon as possible. Even though we do have a lot of housing on campus, it's not enough for every single freshman to live on campus. So they do come on a first come, first served basis. So whenever you finish your UT Austin application, go ahead and turn in your housing application, just so that you can go ahead and put the preference of where you want to live on campus. FAFSA and TASFA. That opens up on October 1st, which is pretty much tomorrow. I'm pretty sure that you all might have a financial aid night or something like that going on, or easily you can talk to your counselor so that they can help you with your financial aid. Just pretty much try to get that in as soon as possible, just so that you can be eligible for every single state grant offered to you from the state. And then you have the priority application deadline and the regular application deadline. The only difference between priority and regular is that you get your admissions decision a month earlier. So for priority, you get your decision in February 1st, and then for the regular deadline, you get your decision in March 1st. That's the only benefit. There's no advantage if you apply earlier. And it's not binding if you do get in to UT but decide not to take advantage of your acceptance. It's not binding at all. It just allows for students to get their admission decision in February instead of March. So just to put it all in perspective, if a student applied on August 1st, which a lot of students did, and the student applies on December 1st, which a lot of students will, they both have the same chance of getting into UT Austin. So take your time. Getting your admission decision a month earlier is great, but if you don't feel confident in your application, please don't feel like you have to just force yourself to get it in on time. Just make sure whatever you give to us, you feel confident in it. So then you have January 15th, which is the FAFSA test for priority consideration. Pretty much, like I said, you want to make sure that you try to do your FAFSA or TAFSA as soon as possible. If you are going to procrastinate, because I understand a lot of us are procrastinators, at least just do that before January 15th. Because that after January 15th, that's the day that you will literally start losing the opportunity to get money from the state. And we don't want to lose money. So please at least do your FAFSA before January 15th. Then you have February 1st if you apply about a priority date. March 1st, you apply about a regular date. And then May 1st, you decide, yeah, I want to go to UT. I want to be a Longhorn. And then you satisfy your enrollment deposit. And that's it. Now, at the bottom, what I want you all to see is your My Status. So your My Status overall is once you finish your application on Apply Texas or Coalition, you will get access to My Status, and it will basically help you stay on track to finish your application. Because, of course, after you submit your application on Apply Texas or Coalition, you still have to send in your transcript. You still have to send in a resume if you want to, letters of recommendation if you want to, short answer questions if you're trying to apply for like an honors program or something like that. Your housing application is on there and more. So once you get access to My Status, go ahead and open it up and it will let you know what you're missing, what you need, what's the deadline for you to turn it in. And that's also where you will see if you got accepted into UT Austin. So that's actually a very, very important tool that you need to have. Again, this is reiterating that priority deadline. You literally will just get your admission decision in February instead of March. It's not binding and there's no advantage in the review process. Honors application. So when you're applying on Apply Texas or Coalition, you select the honors program that you're interested in. So let's say, like I said earlier, way at the beginning of the presentation, let's say you're interested in liberal arts. So you pick government, let's say. You have the option to go to Plan 2 honors or liberal arts honors. You'll go through on your Apply Texas and Coalition. It will ask, hey, Chris, are you interested in applying to any honors programs? When you say yes, it will give you those two options. You will click that option. And then after you submit your application on Apply Texas or Coalition, you will go to your My Status and it will let you know what else do you have to turn in order to complete the application for the honors program. The deadline is December 1st. You can only be accepted into honors programs in the fall. So just make sure that if you want to go ahead and apply for honors programs, go ahead and try to get in the fall. And then document upload. I pretty much talked about this already. Just using your My Status to turn in your resumes and letters of recommendation or any additional documentation that you might need to turn in for the honors program. And then housing, which is also on Apply Texas. Pretty much just do it as soon as possible. Like I said earlier, pay the $50 application fee. And if you did get your application waived, your application fee for your housing will be waived. You can be able to keep up with the status of your application just to see when are they going to send everything to you. And then after you're admitted into UT, so you've been accepted, and then you accept your UT Austin offer, you're eligible to be offered a housing contract. So pretty much after you do your housing application, you won't need to worry about housing up until you decide that you're going to UT Austin. So don't stress yourself about it. Just fill out the housing application as soon as possible to give yourself the highest chance of getting into the housing, the dorm that you're interested in. And then after that, just wait until you decide to come to UT, and then you'll be offered a contract. And tuition and financial aid. So this is a skeptical, pretty much guesstimate that we put together for students to be able to see how much going to UT will cost on an annual basis. So the thing that will overall stay the same will be the tuition and required fees, because that's dependent upon the major that you're actually applying to. For room and meals, that's an estimate of students that stay on campus. So that's pretty much the average of what students spend. But since, like I said earlier, you do not have to stay on campus, literally that 11,000 can drop down to 9,000 if you decide to get an apartment. Then for transportation, for UT Austin students, all public transportation is free. So if you don't have a car or don't want to use your car, you don't have to. And that number could easily fluctuate, and you might not need $1,490 in order to get around UT. Then you have books and supplies. That's literally dependent upon the classes that you're taking. And even before you fully get into your classes, you can easily get out of the class, especially if it's costing too much in your pockets. So that number also can fluctuate just depending on the classes that you're involved in. And personal and miscellaneous items. That's literally just depending on how high maintenance you are as a student. If you're in high school, drinking Starbucks all the time, eating Chick-fil-A every single day besides Sunday, and then your best form of therapy that you like to use is retail therapy, so you're at the mall all the time, I don't expect that to change when you're in college. We actually expect that to get worse while you're in college because you have a lot more freedom. So we just wanted to come up with a pretty realistic number of how much money students end up spending from Starbucks to Chick-fil-A to headed to the mall. So it's around $2,900. But besides tuition and required fees, all of those numbers can easily fluctuate just depending on your situation and what you want. And how to apply for financial aid. So you have FAFSA. You just hit the submit button on FAFSA.gov or go through your My Student Aid mobile app. And then for TASFA, TASFA is for students that define as Texas residents, but they're not a U.S. citizen. So pretty much you will have to do TASFA by hand on paper and then mail that to us. And again, just make sure that you're trying to do it as soon as possible, just so that you can be eligible for all money that's offered by the state. And scholarships. So for UT Austin, for your freshman year, you do not need to apply for any scholarships. As soon as you apply through Apply Texas or Coalition, you will be automatically put in a pool for scholarships that you're eligible for, depending on merit, financial need base, or even if you're just a great life-changing student at your high school campus, and we feel like you could be a great student on our campus. So it's not a separate scholarship application. Just as soon as you send in your Apply Texas or Coalition app, you'll be able to knock that out. But there are scholarships that you can apply for through texasexes.org/scholarships. TexasExes is an organization of basically people that graduated from UT. So since I graduated from UT, I'm a Texas X, and we have a bunch of scholarships available for students to apply for. All you need to do is turn in your application on time and then fill out an application for the scholarship on the website, and you'll be automatically put in the pool for the scholarships that you're eligible for. And Texas Advanced Commitment. We revised my financial aid situation last year, and so this is what we've come up with. If your family makes less than $65,000 a year, your tuition is fully covered, versus if your family makes less than $125,000 a year, you get tuition assistance from like $200 to $2,000. So everybody's situation is going to be different. Just make sure this is all taken care of by your financial aid. So just make sure when you do your financial aid, you turn it in on time, of course. But there's nothing that you need to sign up for or anything like that. This will automatically be taken care of. And to give you an idea of what this will look like, of course, if your family makes less than $125,000, You can get some aid from the state. That aid from the state will be automatically applied to your tuition. And then whatever is left over, depending on if your family makes less than 65,000 or less than 125,000, we will add more funds to your tuition to go ahead and kind of chop it off. So that's how it works. But again, if your family makes less than $65,000, the tuition will be covered. And if your family makes less than 125,000, you get a lot of tuition support. And then we have Dell Scholars slash UT for me. So Michael Dell and his wife pretty much gave UT a huge amount of scholarship money and resources, just because we want to make sure that our students are able to take advantage of all the great resources that we have on campus without having to go too far or stretch themselves too thin. At the end of the day, students are on campus to get an education and to be able to graduate in 4 years. So it's our job to make sure that all of these resources are available to them, especially if they need them. We're just trying to make sure that we meet students where they are. So if a student is eligible for the full Pell Grant, they also get a $20,000 scholarship. And with that, you get financial aid coaching and financial literacy training. You get tutoring, you get a brand new laptop, you get peer advising and more. Now for the students that are not full Pell Grant eligible, but they still get some money from the Pell Grant, they will not get the scholarship, but they still have access to all of the different resources. So you still get the tutoring, you still get the laptop, and you still get the peer advising and all of the resources listed here. And why UT? Pretty much why I tell students why UT. While I was at UT, I realized that a lot of the faculty and staff are world-class faculty and staff. And what I mean by that is we have faculty and staff that are Emmy Award winners. We have faculty and staff that are Nobel Peace Prize winners. We have faculty and staff that's Matthew McConaughey, you know, and these individuals are excited to work with you, excited to meet you, and excited to use the resources that they have learned over the years and kind of give you the quick route on how to take advantage of these resources so that you can make your life a better life. And so these faculty and staff literally just do everything that they can. And there's some of the, you know, like winning an Emmy Award is not normal. Winning a Nobel Peace Prize Award is really, really not normal. And so the fact that you have these individuals at your disposal pretty much is just a blessing to have. But then also, we have like our Texas Exes that I talked about earlier, and they pretty much changed the world too, and they're all over the world. And so we have a Texas X that created the formula for Gatorade, or we have a Texas X that, for example, we're all in this very, very virtual world right now. But of course, all of our electronic devices have what? They need a battery to work. The person who created the lithium ion battery for our phones, laptops, iPads, iPods, PlayStations, televisions, and more, came from UT, came from Texas. And so that's just some of the Texas X's that we have available when there's so much more. And so when I went to UT and I studied at University of Cape Town, it really just seems like every step that I took, I met a Texas X. So the person that approved for me to get my shots to go across the country, she went to the UT. The person who gave me my shots, she went to UT. And then when I was in Cape Town, one day I was just randomly traveling. And who did I see? A random group of UT students that, of course, ended up becoming Texas X's. So we're all over the world. We're global. We're trying to change the world one step at a time. And you easily can be a part of this great, great, great legacy. So here's the end of my presentation. Please feel free to take a picture of this. I work in Dallas. So the Dallas Admission Center pretty much goes for DFW, East Texas, portions of West Texas, and more. And so we're housed in Dallas, but we take care of the DFW and more and the entire Metroplex. I work there. So if you want to set up a one-on-one meeting with me, in person, you can. Virtually, you also can. just reach out to me through email. I know my number is right there. I advise that you email me first. And then we can set up a phone call appointment, an in-person appointment, or a Zoom, Google Classroom appointment to talk one-on-one with each other. But then also follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so you can see all of the great things that we're doing on campus, the things that we're trying to do on campus. You can stay updated with the COVID-19 so that you can see how our campus is shifting to make sure that everybody is staying safe during this time, and you can stay updated.